If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I use COMC quite a bit for selling and buying sports cards. Now, I have made some videos in the past outlining my experiences, outlining my strategies, things like this, but I thought it was high time I do this with a little bit more kind of systematic focus to really dig into some of the different elements. So I'm going to be starting from scratch. In this first video, I'm just going to go through the very basics of setting up a store, how you just get it going from the first step. And then I'm going to go through and share with you a number of different strategies, a number of different little things to keep in mind as you become more and more familiar with this marketplace. This series is actually going to stretch over quite a few different videos because I don't want to like just gloss over certain things and just mention them. I want to go into a little bit more depth about different elements of using the COMC platform. Part of the reason I'm doing this is I don't think there's really great content out there for this. I figured there was some of my experiences that would be useful to other people to, to just hear about and hear my perspectives on. Not that I have like the answers for everything, but since I have been using this platform for a long time, I feel like I've gotten to know it pretty well. So I thought I would try to share some of that knowledge with you. So anyway, let's get into this first video. 34 million card marketplace. It's so well organized that if you're looking for specific things, it's much easier to find them. So, for example, if you want to put together complete sets of things, you have part of a whole set, go into here and it's so much easier to buy the rest of the cards from that set than it would be on eBay and then have to pay the shipping on all of those individual cards because you do have this flat rate shipping. So that means, we'll look at this later, but flat rate shipping means you can either, when you're buying a card, you can pay the shipping fee as the part of the process of buying the card, which is just 25 cents per card. And then at the end, you just have to pay $5 flat rate for all those cards. That's one way. If you're going to be doing flipping, you can actually not pay that shipping cost initially and pay it when you actually want to ship them to yourself. That way, if you are never going to ship them to yourself and you're just going to keep flipping, you never have to pay that shipping fee. So that's one of the features, one of the details I'll go in later and when you should use which. This is some of the reasons. I also just like COMC because it's a smooth platform. It's not perfect. Nothing is, but it is really nice. On the negative side, one of the things that could happen is there are scans of the picture. So you see the exact card that you're buying, but at the same time, some of the scans, it's hard to tell for sure, if there's surface issues, things like this. If you see a card in person, you get a little bit more detail like that. But that's true even on buying on eBay. Although on eBay, if there are some really bad stuff about the card, once you finally get it in hand, you can just return it, get your money back. It's a little harder to do on COMC, especially since if you actually are getting the card back in hand, it's going to be many months from the time you bought it. Just not really going to be possible to get your money back. So that is a potential negative. I personally haven't had any issues with it yet, and I do know COMC tries to flag things as, if they're not in near mint or mint condition, if they're excellent to near mint or something, they'll mention that, or if they're good to fair, or if they're poor to fair, they'll mention that. So that's nice. It's not always perfect though. And then here, if you keep going down, why should you sell on COMC.com? Really, for me, the easiest thing, the main thing I would just say is it's just easy. If you want to sell on eBay, you have to package every individual card. You have to list every individual card. Each card takes a long time. But on COMC, you can send in a box of cards, however many you want, and then they do all of the work for you. You just have to put the price. That makes it so much easier. You don't have to worry about customer service. You don't have to worry about dealing with returns. You don't have to worry about dealing with shipping each individual card. It's just so much easier. So that's the biggest reason I would say. And from a point of making money, COMC does have a lot of eyeballs, maybe not as many as eBay, but it has a lot of eyeballs. You sell things almost as fast as eBay, maybe a little bit slower in my experience, but still, things sell quite well generally. So I think it's a good place. It's a good place. And even the fees, and we'll look at this in future videos, the fees are actually pretty similar to eBay when all is said and done, if you actually calculate everything in. COMC's fee structure is a little complicated, and I'll look at that a little bit closer in a different video as well. But generally, if you average everything out, eBay's fees, COMC's fees come out to a pretty similar amount, but with COMC, you're not doing any of the work yourself. So this is the COMC page. If you keep going through here, for now, let's go ahead and sign up for a new account. So you're going to click on this button here. I already have an account, but I'm going to start a new one here. I did look up online just to see if it's okay to have two accounts with one person, and it seems okay. All right. So once you've put in, whatever your username is going to be. For this one, I did Sports Cards OA. For my other one that I've been using more often, I just called Javad, which is my name. I've been using that one, since before I started this YouTube channel. If I had started this YouTube channel first, I probably would have chosen this name originally. But anyway, this probably is not going to get a whole lot of cards on here. I might put a little bit of money on here and just show you what I might do for some flipping and stuff. But anyway, you'll create that. You'll put in your password. You'll get your verification code to your email address that you choose and put all that in. It's signing up like you sign up for anything. You come to the user agreement update. So, just like any other kind of thing like this, there's things you might want to look at. And then once you have actually looked through, made sure everything's all right, do that. You now have an account. So you can continue to dashboard. Now, if you are starting from scratch, this is what it's going to look like right when you come into here. Eventually, once you've been selling stuff, your most recent sales will all be on here. Recent purchases will all be here. If you have any offers and proposals, it will be here. Your credit is here. You can always go in and see, if there's a history of you can see the offer history here, history and all this kind of stuff. You can look at that. This is the little box where you're going to get all of your details about your cards and how they're selling. In fact, maybe though I'm here on this page right now, maybe I'll actually go into my other account that actually has all this stuff filled out so you can see a little bit what it will look like later, so you get a sense. So let me jump over there really quickly. All right, so as I was saying, this is kind of what it looks like once there's actually activity that's been happening. However much store credit you have will be here. Here we go. I had made an offer and somebody did a counter offer. If it says negative there, it means that it's a counter offer. If there's no negative there, it means somebody's offering something for one of your cards. So I can go in there, see, okay, I had made an offer, just given a cent off of each of these. I'm going to go ahead and accept it. This is one of my strategies. I'll talk about different strategies in a future video, but one of my strategies is to get cards I think would do well in like a dollar box. This particular batch of cards, I've been doing mostly that. So, these are 50-cent cards, John Stockton Award winners. I think I could put this in a dollar bin, no problem. A lot of people would like it. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that proposal for now. This pops up, boom, you say okay. Oh, you can just do ready to ship. Now you can see I have set it up so that I have already paid the shipping. Like that 49 cents I paid actually includes 25 cents of shipping. Actually bought the card for 24 cents plus 25 cents in shipping. So if I wanted to flip this card, I actually could have done it and not paid for the shipping cost. I could have bought it for 24 cents and then resold it right up on the platform. Now, this isn't necessarily a card I would want to do that with because, I see there's a ton of cards and they're all in this 50-cent range. So I'm not going to try to flip a card like if I wanted to, that's what it would be. And that's what I used to do more of when I was doing a lot more flipping. I still do flip occasionally, but right now I'm mostly buying for dollar boxes. You can see a bunch of my previous purchases here. These award winners, I was going to put a big chunk of those in the dollar box because they're very just cool. And then there's other cards that I'll get at other times, and I'll talk about strategies in the future. So now you can see my store credit available just went down after I purchased that. This is the latest sales, so you can see, and then once you go into view sales through and get some different information about how much the purchase price, the sale price, and then the COMC credit, because the COMC takes a percentage for themselves, sold date, acquisition date, and who purchased it, all this kind of stuff. And there's also this SRP, which I would just completely ignore if I'm being completely honest. I find it to be the numbers are always way off there, so I don't even know what the purpose of that is. And then same thing, your latest purchases here, view all purchases. And then this is the box I was talking about before. This is just the general over time information. So you can see current 3,000 cards in my inventory. 15 of them have no SRP. It's part of the reason the SRP means nothing. So when they say total SRP of this number, that's for half of the cards in there, and those numbers are all off. So this means nothing. I ignore it completely. But for those cards, the 2,497 I have for sale, currently I'm asking a little more than 17,000 for them in total. I have 85 cards that I don't have an asking price on, and that's the 85 that I still haven't yet priced that were from a batch of cards I sent in. So if you have anything like that, it will pop up on the top here. So I slowly go through and add, I don't know, I just add 5 or 10 a day or whenever I want to. I have 603 of my cards that are not for sale. Sometimes that's because I'll buy up, this is another strategy I'll talk about. I'll buy up like 15 of the same card and drip sell them back. So sometimes I have some not for sale. 408 that are currently sitting there waiting to be shipped back. I've sold more than $22,000 worth of cards in 2,831 cards. I've purchased more than 5,000 cards on the platform, and I've added almost 3,500 cards to the site. This estimated enhanced security fee, this is for cards that are a little bit more valuable. They charge a little bit more to store those. You can see it's just 40 cents a month, so not a big deal. So this is kind of what it will look like once it's filled out a little bit more. And we'll go into in future videos. We'll go into all of these different things, what they are, because there's different things you can do, and there's different strategies you can take. And this video is meant to be a bit more of an overview, so I'm not going to go into all of those yet. But this is what we're looking at so far. So let me go over back again to the empty one. Once you're in here, once you've set all this up, you can see, you've got a glance of what this might look like in the future. The first thing you're really going to need to do, honestly, is get some money in your account. There's really nothing you can do with this until you have some money in your account. Even if your whole goal is to just send cards in and you don't want to buy anything on the platform, you still need money in your account because you have to pay 50 cents per card that you're ingesting. So even if your whole goal with this is for whatever reason you wanted to send in one single card, $20 card or whatever, you're going to have to pay 50 cents to get it up there. So minimum, you're going to have to put that up. I don't know why you'd put 50 cents up. But to do that, you go over to this purchase store credit button. And you can choose any amount. Custom amount is fine. So whatever you want to put in there. So you're going to want to do that and do all your billing information and contact information, just like you normally would. If for whatever reason you can't do it that way, you actually can purchase store credit by mail with a check or money order, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how many of you are going to need to do that. But let me go ahead and set this up. I'm going to put in all my information. So I'm going to turn this off for a moment. You actually have some basic information, contact information, personal information. I'm going to skip those ones for now. A lot of this stuff, like actually here, let me go to contact information I filled out, but personal information I haven't. I don't really know why all this is here, to be completely honest. I've never, in using this, I've never seen why this would really matter, but maybe they're just collecting data. If you own a card shop, this is where you can set minimum offers. I think the default that they'll have on here is like 50 cents. That means nobody can offer you, if you're selling something for less than 50 cents, they can't offer you something. They can't go and say 40 cents or whatever. So that means no matter what, that they have this, you can put that at whatever you want. You can also put a minimum offer percentage. So, if you have a card for $2 and you put it 50%, they can't offer anything lower than $1. You will usually put it on like this. It kind of depends on how big or small your store is. Sometimes over time, the prices of cards change. So right now, a card that you have up for sale for $3, you'd be happy for somebody to make a $1.50 offer, but you don't want lower. But, in a few months, maybe that $3 card is actually genuinely only worth $1.50, and you'd be fine selling it for 75 cents. So, and if you haven't changed your price yet, the least somebody can offer is $1.50. So there are reasons why you could put that lower. If you just want to have less hassle, you can put that at a different price. And then this is the auto accept. So this is if people make an offer and it's a certain percentage, it will automatically accept it. You don't have to go in there and accept. I have seen, this is actually a strategy we'll talk about later. If you can find sellers who have a little bit lower, like maybe they put it at 85% or something like this. If you can find a seller like that, then you can offer them 15% off and they'll automatically accept it, and you can get some cards. There are a few sellers that do that. I just put this at something like 95%. If somebody does that, 5% off, it's fine. Outgoing offers. This is where you can choose, and we'll look at this later, if you want to do the simplified or the advanced reselling. So I'm going to actually do advanced reselling for this one because I don't think I'm going to, whatever I buy here, I'm just going to be flipping it right on the platform. I'm only putting 25 bucks in here. This is just a small scale flipping account to show you some things. And then free storage threshold. So for cards that you ask for 75 cents or less, you get free storage. So that's useful if you're thinking about flipping low end cards. Probably if you're doing this like to actually make money, you probably don't want to focus too much on 75-cent cards. But if you're just doing it to try to learn the program, to try to learn what COMC is about, you might end up buying some cards. So that's kind of just interesting thing to know about. So then you can save your changes, success. All right. Then once you've put in your credit card data and you go in and everything, this will pop up. Now, I haven't actually added credit to my store for a long time. I did at the very beginning when I started everything. And then ever since then, the credit, I've been, just building up credit over time. So I didn't know this was a thing where you have to append PayPal notification. I actually just used my credit card, but I guess they're doing it through PayPal. Okay, wow, I just pressed refresh. Okay, there it is. So now I have $25 in my account. Woohoo, awesome. Now with this $25, there's different things that you might want to do depending what your plans are. I mean, if you have 50 cards that you have at your house that you want to send into COMC, that are all going to be under $100, that you're going to sell for under $100, so they don't need the what's called the elite submission. I'll talk about that in a future video. If you just want 100 basic, or I mean 50 basic cards to send in, that would be $25 to pay for that, for them to be ingested into the system. So that's what you can do, or you can work on actually flipping cards. And that's probably what we're going to do in this video. Is we're going to just be doing some small scale flipping. So there's different strategies that we'll look through in the future, but for now, basketball is kind of my interest area, my more knowledgeable. This is one thing I will often do, and this is just maybe a good place to start if you don't have a specific idea of a card that you think you want to go for. Is I go to recently added, because I find a lot of times there's some good deals of cards that have just been put into the system, and I'll take a look. Anytime I see, for example, I come in here, I say, okay, there's a Michael Jordan card for about $1 that's just been into the system, and see, I probably could flip this one and sell it. I could buy it for $1.08. I probably could sell it for $1.24. To be honest, it probably would sell pretty quickly. But I'm not going to worry that for a 14 cents or whatever. Plus they take 5% away in the transaction fee, so they'll take about 6 cents. So I would make about 10 cents in profit. I'm not even going to bother with it. I mean, I only have $25, so I do have to be pretty careful of what I'm going to be doing with my funds. But I'll look through here and just see. That's pretty cool. And I do like to look and see, if there's a card pops up, like, what is the gap? This doesn't always mean, like, the card values in here don't always mean like their ongoing comp prices on eBay or whatever. They do, if you see something that has a gap between the first sale and the second sale, it can be at least worth looking into. It's interesting right now when I'm looking through all the recently added, they're really, really low end cards, which isn't necessarily a bad way to get started. You probably are better off starting with the low end stuff while you're trying to figure the system out and figure out how this works, especially if you're new into sports cards in general. If you're not new into sports cards, but you're new to COMC, maybe you have a bit of a better what you want to go for right off the bat. But if you're new into sports cards in general, I would really start off with cards that are just a couple of bucks a piece, just as you're kind of getting used to how it all works. So as I'm going through this, I'm not seeing too much. I'm interested in here. So the other thing to do once I always look through the first page or two of recently added. It's my habit. I do it almost every time, just because every once in a while I find some phenomenal in there. By the way, I should just point out, like, on that first page there, you can see how cheap cards were. I happen to notice that Chris Duarte optic rookie for 3 cents. I'm not going to buy that, because even for 3 cents, I have no desire. But so if you had set it up as like you're going to get this ship back to yourself, this would actually be 28 cents. Still very cheap, but 3 cents if you want your platform. So this is why I say this is great for set builders. If you want to build up. If you want to get all of the rated rookies from 21-22 optic, and you go in here and you buy this for 3 cents plus 25-cent shipping, so 28 cents, that's probably the cheapest way you're going to be able to put together a full set of something. But if you're looking to flip cards, you have to find cards that are actually going to want to have some sort of demand, and short-term demand too, because I don't want to have this video series stretch on forever. So I am actually looking for cards that I think will flip relatively. Like, this is a promising one. I'm probably not going to buy it, but for 75 cents, a card like that, I mean, honestly, if I saw a card like that in a dollar box at a card show, I probably would put it and see if I could get it for about 75 cents. And here I could get it for 75 cents, but I'm not going to bother, because I'd have to just sell it for 99 cents. And this is the other thing I'll do when I see that. I can see, oh, it sold 2 times previous quarter, no times this quarter, none before that. But of course, it's a brand new card. This is useful data. If you actually have, I just put in $25, so I actually get some additional sales data, because I have these things called history points. These expire after a while. When you first put money into your account, you get access to history points, and you get access to more information. But you got to be careful to not overdo it, because you can use up those history points pretty quickly. They just tell you a few things. I can see that there was one raw that sold for $2.02 in June. And there's been 2 other transactions on the site in total. So that's all it's telling me. I can get that kind of sales data only when I have the history points. So I don't get it much myself, because one of the bad things about that is when you put money on your account, you get it. But I don't put money on my account, because I make money from selling cards, so I never get access to history points. So I could pay. I don't like the way they do it, to be honest. So going through there, let's just say I didn't find too much. So then I would maybe think a little bit more about other cards that I might be interested in looking up. So, I typed in 92, 93 Shaquille O'Neal. This is Shaquille O'Neal's rookie year. One of the reasons I typed this in is because I just know from personal experience that there's some of these rookie are selling constantly. So I will go in here and just see, if there is a gap between the first and cards in some of these spaces. If there's not, I'm not going to bother with it now. But I know, for example, where's the tops one? I could type in tops to be even more specific, but I know this tops card. Okay, so now if it says poor to fair, well, that's a gold. If it says poor to fair, it's not in very good condition. Okay, here's a base card. So if I'm looking for the raw, I can actually open up the graded version as well. And then on the left, there's going to be all of the different variations, all of the different graded versions, all of the different things. So I'm going to go to raw for this. This one is $6. The lowest ones are $6. Now, actually, in some contexts, I might be willing to buy even first three of these because I know that this particular card sells constantly. See, I just went down a history point by looking at this. I can see here all of this different information. It sells 226 times this quarter. Every quarter it sells frequently. So I know this one goes pretty regularly. I can see it on the raw. It went up to $107, but that was during the crazy COVID times. Yeah, best sale 3/7/2021. And this is another reason why the history data doesn't really help me because I don't want to know what what was happening in this stuff during the crazy COVID spikes. It doesn't help me. So this actually doesn't give me any knowledge that is useful. Another reason I'm never going to pay for the history points. But you can get some data in here. I know from just being on this site for long enough and seeing this card for long enough that this one actually does tend to hover at around like a $8 price pretty regularly. Like I'm pretty sure these first five will probably sell relatively soon. This one, it's always hard to tell. Somebody had paid an extra dollar to get it as an elite item, and then it actually has some surface conditions, some surface impressions, which means that it might not sell and it might kind of get in the way. But these other ones will probably sell pretty quickly just because I know from personal experience this card will sell like hotcakes at around $8 pretty regularly. And then eventually, if you leave cards on here, when I see this, I let other people, because there's always this card always gets added to the platform from people selling off their old collections. And this price, eventually you can probably buy it for $5 or $4. I've done that several times. And then I will list it back up for like $8. And eventually all the ones before it get bought up and then they sell for $8. I've probably sold this card 20 times. So that's just, I'm getting into strategy again. But what you're going to want to do is just find cards. I think for this video, because I'm too busy kind of talking you through things, I'm not really looking very at certain cards to try to flip. So I'll probably have to come back to this another time in another video and share with you some flipping strategies perhaps. But this is how you're going to want to get started. You're going to find cards, whatever cards you're going to want to buy. If they're cards you're going to want to send them to yourself, I personally, if I'm going to send it to myself, I don't like doing the advanced reseller strategy mode, because if you do it that way and then you have 100 cards and you haven't paid any shipping cost on any of those 100 cards yet, it's going to look, $25 shipping fee for those cards plus the $5 that you have to pay, so $30 to send yourself 100 cards. Or if you're selling yourself 1,000 cards, it's going to look even crazier. But if you pay the 25 cents ongoing at the card, then you just pay the $5 at the end. So anyway, this was kind of getting a little bit longer for the first video. In future videos, I'm going to go through a bunch of different features. We'll go through what the COMC challenge thing is. We'll go through how you can do the auctions. We'll go through flipping strategies. We'll go through what kind of cards you might want to send into COMC compared to what kind of cards you might want to sell on eBay or on other platforms. We will look at port sales. We will look at how to use the promotions manager. We will look at the best use of things like the inventory manager, even things like your QR code, or when you might want to send in your whole port. We're going to look through all of this stuff over a series of videos. So I hope you enjoyed this one. This one was kind of getting slow at the beginning just to get into this, but we will come back for a series of videos. So I hope this was useful to you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.